Hi everyone, my name is Mohit Sharma. I am a managing partner at AstralMind Consulting. Today, I am very excited to share with you the service introduction video for activity based costing. Follow us on LinkedIn, and you can also log on to www.yourastralmind.com for more information about our offerings. I'm very sure that you will find this video as very helpful. Beware of little expenses, a small leak will sink a great ship. This is what Benjamin Franklin used to say, and rightly so. Costs are extremely important component uh, and one of the key levers which drives the profitability. So, let me just ask you this question before beginning this service introduction. Are you aware of the cost associated with each transaction in your process? I'm talking about each transaction. So, what does it mean? So, do you know how much a particular transaction that you service or that you process for your business does it cost you? So, if you are dealing with, for example, you are posting some journals for your business, how much a typical journal costs you? If you are processing some invoices for your business, how much a particular invoice, an average invoice costs? So process cost is very strategic indicator primarily for both process effectiveness and overall process maturity. If you look at it in very practical sense, there can be huge differentiation between a good performing company and an average performing company in terms of the cost per transaction metric. But there is no visibility most of the times around these matrices because we deal with overheads. There is an overhead absorption rate, there are cost pools, we deploy those cost pools across. There are head office related expenses, there are expenses which are specific to certain business units, and in all this confusion, we do not know what it costs us to process a particular transaction. So activity based costing actually offers a framework in order to address the same. So when I take an example of, let's say, what it costs for a top performing company for processing a single invoice compared to what it costs to an average performer, you can easily see there is a kind of a 2x difference. So if you are even higher than average performer, so you are into that distribution somewhere onto the lower edge, not a great state. Similarly, when you look at comparatives of cost when taken as a cost as a percentage of revenue, so I have taken a finance example here. These are all Hackett benchmarks as per 2020, which is a dated one, just as an illustration I have taken here. So if I take finance cost as a percentage of revenue, 0.55% for top performing company, 0.95% to revenue for an average performer. Now why this all makes sense, why this is an important imperative? So first and foremost, let's understand the what is the framework that we are talking about for analyzing cost per transaction. So what we basically offer here as part of our activity based costing services is, it's a 4-week intensive exercise focused at breaking down your costs to their last granular components and identifying savings opportunities for the business. So primarily we start on day one, we start with scoping the activities, what all different processes, the sub processes, the steps, the data sets, the applications, what is the entire scope. What are the different cost pools? So your technology costs could be one pool, your payroll or staff related costs could be another pool. And we always treat every cost as an indirect cost when we do activity based costing. So even if you are spending something in terms of people are purchasing laptops or some IT is being provisioned, even that is an indirect cost. Even if you are building some softwares using that IT, so in a very cost centric terms, this might be direct cost, which we do not treat it, because our job is to identify what it costs to process a particular transaction or to perform a particular activity. The objective is to identify some improvement opportunities and see if we can reduce it. So this basically, this question compels us to further probe down and see what the top performing organizations into the same business doing that we are not doing, and their cost is much better, cost per transaction is much better than us. So this becomes the key imperative. So after we have determined the cost pools, we find and calculate the cost driver rate. So what basically influences cost? Is it the volume? Is it the technology maturity? Is it the complexity? Is it the variety of transactions that we are handling? Is it the quality of data? What is driving the costs? Then we assign these costs to each transaction by granular component part, and I'll be taking a very quick example of that as to what do I mean by that. And then we analyze and interpret these costs, and then we report and provide an improvement plan. First and foremost, a monitoring plan to see on an ongoing basis how you are able to review and assess the performance of activity-based costing for your business, and also to provide you comparatives so that you can set some targets, drive these costs down, which can be very beneficial for the business overall. Now, why we are talking about cost, and specifically activity-based costing? So primarily, it has been noted, and this is a method which has been traditionally applied and used for putting up the profitability numbers up or reducing the costs down. So there has been a 10% improvement in costs that has been seen by optimizing these kind of cost objects using activity-based costing. Identification and resolution of the cost drivers that hinder profitability leads to further improvements. It allows us to choose some of the operating models which are better fit, some of these strategies which are based on differentiation rather than just convention. Then from a process, task and workflow standpoint, it leads to a kind of a resilient and sustainable cost model by harmonizing these tasks, and it allows the resources to be free. Maybe there are some activities which have been running around more as a convention, but business doesn't make any sense of those activities. And most importantly, it fosters a cost conscious culture amongst your teams, amongst the people who are working on these processes, to be very conscious about it, and they start seeing where all this money is going, where all this effort is being eaten away with. Okay. Now we'll take a very closer look as to how this entire activity-based costing works. And I have taken an accounts payable example. So let's take an example of a process which has a cost per invoice calculated as $5. So on an average, if somebody processes an accounts payable invoice in this process, the average cost attributed as per activity-based costing principles is $5. Now, what are the cost drivers for this cost? Okay, so the object here is obviously invoice. The cost is $5, but what are the drivers? What is driving? So some of the key common drivers that we can look at is like number of invoices processed. If you are processing more invoices, within the specified period of time, your overall costs will come down. Then what kind of exceptions you are handling? How many invoices are good invoices or happy path invoices? Everything is okay, the information is correct, vendor provided everything, the purchase order was matching, there was no exception. And how many cases you have exceptions? So let's say if 30 to 40% of your invoices have exceptions involved, what it means is you are not able to conclude these transactions, and the time of the resources, the time and the resources that you have deployed, whether it is technology, systems, technology resources, or the time window of opportunity that was provided, that was used in handling these exceptions. Then how many times you have to update vendor master data? So when I look at an overall accounts payable function, I look at a function, I'm not looking at sub-teams. So let's be very clear about that. So when I look at an overall accounts payable function, I am looking at if I am doing more of vendor master maintenance activity, I would be processing lesser of invoices, right? It's a y is equal to a plus bx kind of an equation. If you change one, the other will get affected. Now, what are the key levers which are influencing these cost drivers? So your agent level productivity can be an influencer. If there is one agent that who is processing, let's say 100 invoices every day, and there is another who is processing 50 invoices every day, that's a big influencer, isn't it? The automation levels, how many repetitive tasks that your process is executing without any human hand involved. The complexity associated with the process, how many additional steps you have. Is there a kind of a maker, checker, reviewer, and reviews and approvals? How do you code your invoices? How complex is your coding procedure for non-PO invoices? Percentage of exception invoices to total. This is also, as we spoke about, is an influencer. Manual effort obviously is an influencer. Quality of master data. How many times you have to go to the master data which is causing exceptions into the quality of the invoices? How many times you are touching an invoice again and again and again and again? This is impacting your overall cost because you are not counting a completed invoice within the same time period. Indeed, you are going back to the same invoice again and again. This influences your overall cost per invoice. So this is a very interesting and very insightful exercise which gives you a lot of visibility as to what are the key cost objects, what are the key cost drivers, and what are the key levers which influence the drivers. So if you change the levers, you are able to change the output of the drivers, and that output ultimately leads to a reduced cost. That's the whole hypothesis. Okay, so moving on further, why we are thinking about activity based costing. So typical scenarios, why and where this will be a very best fit kind of a solution or a service offering is if you are already going through a large transformation program. So let's say there is a kind of a strategic transformation program going on, or there is a kind of a big merger and acquisition you are into. There is a probability that some hidden costs can become a part and parcel of your cost pools, and you will not be able to control them. So suddenly you will realize that before the M&A or before the business event, the probability, the profitability was different, and once the business event or once you have integrated a particular business as part of yourself, the profitability has changed. Though there is nothing, no major change across the business. Then revenue and profitability challenges. If your business is going through kind of market disruptions where revenue and profitability challenges are there, or you're not able to recover or showcase growth into revenue and profitability, looking at the costs can be a very interesting area. If you have very poor visibility into costs leading to value leakage, it should be something as simple like this. If I ask your cost accountant, if I ask your vice president of costing and profitability where the costs have gone, they should have a clear answer. They should be able to attribute it to specific reasons, specific objects, specific cost drivers. If they are not able to do that, certainly there is some work and some effort, some visibility, transparency is required. By means of activity-based costing, what we are doing is we are instilling this visibility, we are instilling this confidence into your process as a system. So you are able to attribute, and you know all the levers, all the influencers which you will touch, and that will impact your costs. There are times, and these are very interesting times currently, especially after 2022 with all the AI related conversations and everything. There is a phenomenal disruption into the market, partly from supply chains, partly from technology. The interest rates are higher. The payments are not coming on time from customers, and multiple macroeconomic factors also there. There are regions of the world which are going through kind of a conflict or a war is going on. There are embargoes which are being imposed. So depending upon which side of the line you are sitting into, there is a phenomenal disruption. This is always a very good opportunity to look at your costs, because this can give you this can unlock a lot of value which is hidden into your business and which you are not able to see currently. One very interesting use case where it makes a lot of sense to talk about activity-based costing or a cost transformation program is if you want to do continuous improvement but you do not know where to start. This is a good kind of a low-hanging fruit to start with, because this will provide immediate value. There will be very good speed to value. You will be able to roll this out very quickly. It is conceptual in nature. It is short term. You can get it done within a few weeks, and the outcome and impact will be visible to your entire leadership. And that's what the game will be about. So activity-based costing and cost transformation program is a very interesting lever, I would say, and this is worth exploring. If in case you are interested, you can reach out to us at connect@yourastralmind.com or give us a call on 971-56120-8551. This is a Dubai number. Remember, there is a cost to everything. Nothing is free in the world, and there are no free lunches. So, uh, if this sounds interesting, please feel free to reach out to us. We are looking forward to speak to you and show you what value we can deliver. Thank you.